Hey everyone, today we're talking about the Anbernic RG556 versus the Retroid Pocket 4 and the 4 Pro. Now this is definitely a speculation video, so I'm talking about something that I don't have in the studio yet, but I have some thoughts and concerns, and so I want to share them with you today and kind of reach a conclusion of who I think the Anbernic is for and whether I think you should buy it now or wait. So I've got the launch video here. So they immediately launch playing, I think this is Forza Horizon, which is a little misleading, but I mean, they're streaming. So they're streaming from their computer. Don't think they'd say that there, so they leave that up to the imagination. Whatever, a lot of people do that. So we immediately get the specs. Now I want to talk about the specs in comparison to the Retroid Pocket 4. There are very distinct differences and then some similarities. Actually, there's not a lot of similarities in terms of the physicality of the device. So they're using the Unisoc T820 processor. Now, a few people have spoken about this. I'm not big into this sort of thing, but what I can tell is that the T820 is better than the T618 that we've had in the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, the RG450M, the RG405E, all those lovely devices. They've all been excellent. This is a better chipset than that. The Retroid Pocket 4 comes in the D900 chip, MediaTek chip, and then the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro comes in the D1100, which is a considerably more powerful chip. So this T820 should perform better than the D900 in some areas, we'll see. So that's one area where I feel like you need to see, if that's important to you, you need to see reviews, but we'll get to that. Okay, that's where it sits in the performance, the Retroid Pocket 4, the Anbernic RG556, and then the D1100, which is, I think, going to be considerably more powerful. So you're going to get a decent power bump on the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, but it costs a little bit more. They both have 120 gigabytes on board, both have 8 gigabytes RAM, both have Android 13, they both have 5G Wi-Fi. So what that means is, I've just gotten into this, I'm probably going to make a video about it, is if you have a 5G Wi-Fi in your home, then you can do streaming. It doesn't have a very long range, but if you're near your router, you can stream games from your PC, which is what I've been doing on the Retroid Pocket 4, and that's a topic for a whole nother day. But that is what 5G does. They both have Bluetooth, they both have a TF card, blah, blah, blah. The Anbernic has a slightly bigger battery, 5,500 milliamp hours. This has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. I usually don't talk about specs, but I think it's important in this situation. Another point is the RP4 Pro has video out on the USB-C ports, whereas the Retroid Pocket 4, the normal one, doesn't. The Anbernic does. So it's a cheaper device with video out on the USB-C ports. I also noticed last night that you can do a USB-C dongle for headphones on here. Okay, and then they both, I mean, they did a teardown in this video. Let's just quickly play it. I'm not a huge fan of this blue. It looked much better in the photos. It's kind of like the Retroid Pocket with a watermelon. It looked one way in the photos and didn't look so great in real life. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. And then I'm not a huge fan of the black either. The Anbernic has LEDs by the joystick. So if that's something you're into, then it does have that. It can pulse, or it can be just normal. They both have down-firing speakers, which I don't know why they're both doing that. I will note that the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, the speakers do seem to be better. So the audio coming out of here is pretty good, but it is down-firing speakers. So they do a teardown here, and both the Retroid Pocket 4 and the Anbernic seem to have decent heat dissipation. So you're not going to have too much issue there. Lots of people are complaining that the fan is quite loud on here, so we'll see what the Anbernic one does. Nice big heat sink on there, a nice big battery, a big fan. It's all looking good. And then I think they just move into the, they just take you through the operating system. They've got the RG front end. I just recommend I just show. And then the big difference is the Anbernic has a 5.48, it's a 5.5 inch screen, whereas this has a 4.7 inch screen. So you're getting a smaller screen. This is a 750p screen. That's a 1080p screen, OLED. That is a huge benefit of the Anbernic. It stands to be seen whether it is a good OLED screen, but a large screen is a large screen. That is just the deal. And then obviously just the ergonomics of this thing. If you look at those bulges on the sides, this is going to be a lovely device to hold. Like, look at that. That really looks like it's going to be a very pleasant device to hold. Whereas with this, it's an end of your fingers kind of situation. So there's a huge compromise ergonomically to be made with the Retroid Pocket 4, but you are getting pocket stability. So that is one of the big differences and the big reasons to get this over this is, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a bigger device that's not really pocketable but feels good? And my argument there is that I was a huge fan of the PowerKitty X28 and I really enjoyed it for a while. And I stopped using it because one of the reasons was the Android build, but the other reason was just the pure size of it. Because it's so big, it wasn't pocketable. So I ended up, without thinking about it, as a reviewer, I love this device, really enjoy it, was a fan of it. But then in my personal life, just ended up going back to the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus because it slides into my pocket and I end up using it sitting in the car waiting for the kids or whatever. So that is a huge thing about this. So if you are someone who hasn't used a big device yet, I would say just take that in mind when purchasing one of these, is just to think, when am I going to be using this thing? Are you a proper gamer who's actually going to be sitting and gaming at all times of the day, or is this something that fills gaps in your life, which is how it works for me? That is a massive difference in terms of which one to buy, in terms of making that decision. And then talking about pricing, we've got the $175 that's going to bump up to $185 after the pre-sale. The Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is $199, and then the Retroid Pocket 4 is on the other side of it with $149. All of these devices are quite expensive to ship, so you've got to consider the shipping. So just go onto their website, check out and see how much shipping is to your area, and then you can work it out from there. But the price is very much according to the performance. You've got the Retroid Pocket 4, you've got the Anbernic, and then you've got the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. Both the Retroids, you've got to consider the ergonomics are not fantastic, and so the grip is nice to have. I like the grip and I think it is fantastic, and I think it also doubles as a nice case if you've got a screen guard on here. I would say consider that because you are going to end up just using it like this. But the pricing is very, well done Anbernic for pricing it correctly. It's right there. And then you get it in the middle there in terms of performance, but then you also get a beautifully large screen and an OLED screen, plus it's got that chunky grip. Again, Colourways, this thing looks fantastic. I don't know where my grip is right now. But this thing looks excellent in the grip and it just looks great on its own. I mean, this is a beautiful device. And I like things that look good, and I don't like the Colourways on the Anbernic at all. They just, okay, I'm being a bit extreme, but I don't like that black. I mean, if I had it, I would enjoy it. But then you compare it to the Retroid devices with all the pretty colors, they really are good looking devices. So if you're an aesthetics person, maybe the Retroid is for you. And then I should have mentioned this earlier, but these sticks, I was analyzing that video and I don't think they have what I'm calling medium full analog sticks, because those are switch style sticks from what I can see. They're whole sensor, but they are switch style sticks, which means they've got a very short motion of travel. So because you've got a short motion of travel, you've got to do all the movement for your character or for your game, whatever you're doing in that small motion. So it's going to be very quick movement. So on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, I tried to stream The Walking Dead on it, and there was this shooting scene and I could just never do it on there, and I ended up playing on the PC, and then I actually haven't picked it up again streaming it until I got the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, because it was just frustrating. These sticks make a massive difference in streaming. They both have analog triggers, so that is good because you need that in streaming. These triggers, I'm getting nervous pressing them now because apparently there's issues with them, but Retroid have offered a 2-year warranty on them and that will replace them for you. Anyway, there's lots of pros and cons there. So I think even though it's a smaller screen, this is going to be a nicer streaming device. So if ergonomics are important to you and you want a nice large screen and you're getting old like a lot of us and you want a large screen, then the Anbernic is definitely an option for you, and I would definitely highly recommend it. But this is my last point, and I've been pointing towards this. I am starting to have an issue with these pre-order things. For instance, the Retroid Pocket, I feel like we can trust them to a degree. You can't really trust anyone, but They did do pre-orders, I think just before people got them. So the thing with the Anbernic launch is that I know for a fact that none of the reviewers have devices yet, and the pre-orders have gone up. And I don't recommend buying it until you've seen the reviews, because, I think we can trust the Anbernic in terms of the quality. They've done a teardown. It looks fantastic. This performance is going to be good. It's going to be better than the T618 chip. But you don't want to buy something before it's been shipped. I mean, the Retroid Pocket 4, they've done the warranty on the triggers, but I mean, they shipped it with faulty triggers. There's always something. And that's my thought. Don't buy it until you've seen a review by one of the quality reviewers giving you the lowdown on this device, because I just think we need to stop putting our foot down in terms of buying these things before anyone has even seen them. They're not Apple. It's not the Vision Pro. This is a small gaming device.